And we're live. Welcome back to the stream. And I've got Joe, the crypto accountant, back on again, following his last stream. And today we're going to be talking about how he got involved in DeFi, but specifically we're going to talk about his experience using Dinoswap, which is a protocol based on the Polygon Matic network. So welcome back, Joe. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. Thanks, mate. Thanks for having me back. And hopefully we'll talk about something that will get people's attention a bit more than tax this time. We'll touch on tax, but we'll touch on the actual usability of the system as well.
The thing is, though, it is something people need to know. At the end
Yeah,
of the day, you need to know about, after you've made your gains, how you legally get them back, and you can enjoy them without looking over your shoulder and making sure you've paid the right people, etc.
absolutely. It's a necessary evil, unfortunately, isn't it? So
It is.
it
So do
keeps
you want to talk? Sorry, go
I should say it keeps people like me in a job.
on.
Go on. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, so do you want to just talk through how you got into crypto and specifically, DeFi? What made you kind of get into that particular area?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's interesting because basically I don't know if I mentioned this the last time we spoke, but basically I run another business, which you can see on the wall behind me, called Nefos, which is a kind of traditional accounting practice dealing with SMEs and whatnot. And we just happened to be dealing with a client of ours who introduced us to their partner, who happened to be setting up an exchange, a DeFi exchange on Ethereum. So this was about 2.5 years ago, something like that. So that's kind of how my first foray, if you like, into crypto. And he was just saying all these words I didn't understand, and I just thought, how hard can it be? As accounting at the end of the day, I know that, I'm good at that, so we can just do it. And obviously, I was quite wrong. So that's how I kind of like got into it in the first sense. But I kind of just ignored it for a couple of years because he was our only client initially, and we didn't really do anything else with it. So I kind of just thought it was this thing, like a lot of people still do. But Bitcoin's this thing that's there, but nobody really gets it. And then, to be honest, it was more like the lockdown thing, which I think a lot of people have found. You kind of just do a bit more research on bits and pieces, and I thought, well, maybe I should just look into this a bit more and just see what it's about, etc., etc. And I just loved the concept of it. And we're talking crypto in general at the moment. And I just loved the concept of it. I loved everything about it. And I was like, I need to know more about this. And then as you get into it, you realize how much there is, and you realize you can't know everything. But you also realize how much there's a huge gap in knowledge for so many people, that there's a space for so many people to then come in and help fill those gaps, if that makes sense. Yeah. And I could fill that accounting tax gap in the space. And I'm ambitious. I'm also a bit obsessive, as my missus will tell you. I bought a bike a few years ago, and I had to buy all the bike gear, and now I don't wear any of it, and I don't even have a bike. But so I'm very obsessed. When I go into stuff, I really want to go into it. So I just invested my life, if you like, into like understanding what it was. And I thought, if I'm going to do this for people, if I'm going to tell them how it works, how the tax works, I need to do it myself. I need to invest my money into crypto first of all, and then slowly into DeFi. But the thing that excites me about which is strange for an accountant to say, but I'm quite anti-establishment. Like, I don't believe in government rule in a sense of like the control that, especially over the last 18 months, it's been, that dictatorship type thing, which I don't agree with. I saw someone post on Twitter the other day that they've been denied their request to leave Australia.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, and I just thought, how is that possible? How can we possibly be in a world where somebody's told they can't go somewhere, they can't leave their country? So I'm quite anti-establishment in the sense of I don't believe central government do a great job. I don't believe central banks do a good job. I don't believe that currencies are the way forward, and inflation, again, being that accountant, knowing the numbers a little bit. So all of that brought me over to the DeFi space. And when I saw what was possible, I was just like, this is incredible. Like, how have I never heard about this? How have I never done anything with this? And actually, I would like my life in the future to be completely decentralized in terms of how I spend my money, where I spend my money. And that's the other thing, banks, especially Barclays, NatWest, quite recently have said, you can't send money to Binance. we're protecting you. And it's kind of like, who are you to stop me from using my money? It's not illegal. I understand them saying you can't go and buy drugs with it. Like, that's fine. That's illegal. I get that. But this isn't illegal. This is a legal thing that can happen and a way to make money and invest and whatnot. Why should a bank be able to tell me what I can and can't do with my own money? So anyway, that's my little rant about governments and control. And that's what got me onto DeFi. And like I say, I'm a believer in you practice what you preach. And if you really want to be the best at something, and I want to be the best, biggest digital accountant out there that deals with deals with crypto and all that, I think you have to live and breathe it. So that got me onto DeFi. And naturally, with a few clients in the space, naturally you see projects, you hear about projects, you see a lot of stuff and you deal with a lot of different people. So you got to try and work out what's good and what's bad and who to trust and not necessarily who not to trust, but who you think is someone that is solid when they tell you it's a good punt. So a client of mine told me about Dinoswap, whatever, however you pronounce it, I don't even know. And I'd never been in the like LP space and all that sort of stuff. So I just kind of dived into it feet first, really, and jumped into some of the pools. And I got in early enough, like literally the day it launched. So I'm also hanging around for that all-important Uniswap type airdrop that makes me a millionaire. That means I don't need to worry about tax anymore, but I don't think it's coming. So anyway, that's how that was a bit of a ramble, but that's how I got into it, and that's how I ended up where I am today. And yeah, I thought I'd talk through how I use it. I'm by no means an expert or perfect at it, but I just thought I'd talk about how I use it, the implications of that, how I keep track of it, just to give people a bit of a rough idea, really.
Yeah, sounds good.
So should we dive in?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so I'm going to share my screen. Should be okay. I need to keep it. It's got all my other tabs, but I need to keep it in here because it's connected to my wallet. Actually, I might be able to drag it out. Oh, there we go. Cool. So this is Dinoswap for those that have or haven't seen it. And what I liked about this, which is why I was quite keen to kind of like use this as like my test bed, was it's on the Polygon Matic network, as you mentioned, Matt, and it's like ridiculously cheap to use rather than Ethereum. If I was testing this out with $10 on Ethereum, for example, it would cost me about 100 to even do the transaction. So whereas on this, it's it costs a fraction of a Matic to do it. So it's much more accessible to people to try it out and whatnot. So that's why I really liked it. Now, yeah, I'm not saying this is the one, but I found it really good. The team are really cool on Telegram and stuff, and you get a lot of updates. So basically, they've got their Dino token, and as you can imagine, they've got your kind of farm type scenario. So in this case, you're still staking LP tokens, and you're going to earn Dino for doing so. So when I first started, they've had a lot more pools since then, but I started in the CGG / Chain Guardians token and Matic pool. It was at the first start, it was kind of up around the 10 to 15,000, API here. So I started in this pool and got some really quite decent returns. And at that price,
Can I just say, how long ago was that then that you got into that pool?
I think it started on the 17th of July. So not long ago, a couple of months, 3 months.
And in terms of the APY, it's gone 10, 15,000. How did it kind of go down in increments? Was it like 14,000 the next day? How slowly did it get down to where it is now?
It was quite slow. It definitely wasn't like 14,000 on day one, and then by day two it was 100. It was quite slow in how it came down. It lasted probably for a good week, I would say, at pretty high thousands. So 6,000, 7,000. It was probably up there for a while. And as I'm sure you know, Matt, but obviously the more liquidity that goes into it, the lower the percentage, if you like. It's got to be high initially to get more liquidity, and the more that goes in, the more it's going to drop. So obviously, naturally, with a new token, it was always going to drop down. But even now, getting 100% on that still isn't horrendous. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah.
So I earned a fairly decent amount. Oh, and there was also a 2x multiplier on it when I first started. So that also helped. So I earned a fairly decent amount on that, relative to what I put in, obviously. And the price of Dino at that time was it went from about around $1.50, $2, something like that, all the way up to about $4. So as you can imagine, as I'm farming these $4 tokens at a stupid percentage, and then I'm converting half of them into USDC, so that then I can supply this pool, all of a sudden I've now converted a token at quite a high value because I've converted them at $4, say, to get this pool. I then got, this has gone down quite a lot now because the token's gone down, but I had about $2,000 in here that was effectively free money, that had been earned from, staking down here and then recycling that staking back into here. So after a little while, I took out my CGG Matic tokens, and kind of that was my money out. So then I was just kind of playing with profit, as it were. And then now I sit in this pool here. And the price of the token at the moment has dropped right down to 35 cents. So at the moment, like I say, the project itself is earning me good money. Good amount of tokens, but the money that we're earning here at the moment isn't great unless you've got quite a lot. So this is pretty much today. I've earned about $2 today, but I'm hoping, it's only a few months old project. I'm hoping that as they start to release more things to this, it will pump up that price. So what I basically do now is I earn money, or tokens, sorry, I keep saying money, but I should say tokens, in here. And then I excavate them, every other day or whatever. And then I basically recycle them into either the Dino pool, or at the moment I'm just doing the UST pool just to kind of try it out. So now what I'm doing is recycling my money. So I started with a pot of a few thousand, I think it was three and a half, something like that. I created effectively $2,000 of profit. I took out my original money, and now I've got that $2,000 is worth a lot less, as we just saw, about 780, something like that on today's price. But that's creating me tokens, which I'm then recycling back into a pool to then make more money, if you like, in this pool here. And you can release these at any point. So as you can see, I've got about 2,000 at the moment. So if that price was to go back up to $4, for example, there's $8,000 there in tokens that are earned. So appreciate that. It isn't there at the moment, but
yeah,
I just think it's a great way to compound your money. So I don't really know much about some of these other pools, which is why I don't go in them, but I don't really know much about these tokens, so I'm ignoring them. But yeah, I earned a lot of Dinos on here, which is why I've got up to about that. And now I'm just trying it out in here in this UST pool to see what I can earn. Now this project as well, just it got some really big backers. The Polygon guys backed it early on financially. It's had some financial backing as well, I think, from the guys at Luna. Hence why there's a UST pool in here. So it's got some really decent backers. If you Google it, I think there's an article on Forbes, Dinoswap. If you Google it, it will come up. Maybe not on that one, but yeah, there was quite a big article about I can't find it now, but how all these great backers were on it. So I'm kind of confident that the product will move, but who knows? So yeah, the other options you've got on here are Extinction Pools. So these ones will burn your tokens at the point of entry, and then will earn you obviously rewards once you've burnt the tokens. And again, there's a few more in here, a few more pools that you can work on. But then these ones are quite cool as well. So tar pits, and I might go back into this actually. The reason I haven't yet is just because I wanted to try out the UST to kind of what I like is being able to, like I say, practice what I preach. So I thought, let's just earn a bit of USD just to understand how it works, etc. But if I was to lock for 3 months, for example, my 1983 tokens, I'd earn 1,600 basically after at 325% APR. So yes, it's locked for 3 months and I can't touch it. But if I wanted to earn a decent return, that's actually quite a decent return. And you can do less than that, and obviously the returns just go down. So even 2 weeks gets you 130.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, a month will get you 366. And if you think that, let's just take 2 weeks, for example. So let's say that's 14 days. There's 133 dinos. And today I've earned, whatever this says, 0.6 US dollar. So I'm going to earn, I know I'm an accountant, but I do use a calculator. So I'm going to earn $8.50 in 14 days. So why would I, apart from I'm learning, why would I do that when actually in here I can lock it up and earn quite a lot more? Because even at the low price of 35p, if we put in 1983 in here, so we've got 133 at 35p is nearly $50 in 2 weeks. So it's quite a big difference. So I quite like this as well. So I'm probably going to lock up, once I've played about with the UST, I'm probably going to lock up some more. And I'll probably lock it up for 3 months. I've already locked it up for a month, but I'll probably lock it up for 3 months now, because I don't plan on selling this token anywhere near this price, because I do think it's worth more than that. So yeah.
And to get this token, it's a straight swap from Matic to Dino.
Yeah. So it's Sushi Swap, and the usual. I'm just going to show just for those that don't, and then it's just So if you've got some Matic, it's then just finding Dino in here, and just swapping it out in here, and obviously you can provide liquidity in Sushi Swap as well. And then put that into a pool. So that's fairly straightforward. It does have its own kind of bridge swappy type thing. So you can use a bridge here to bridge between Ethereum and Polygon. And in the exchange, you have got a bit of a swap function. And the price isn't dramatically different, to be honest, to the Sushi Swap one. So you can do it directly on the platform as well.
Just directly connect your MetaMask or whatever wallet you're using with your Matic inside.
Yeah, so just smack it in there, connect it up, and then you can just do it directly in there.
Yeah,
do a swap there.
And going back to what you've spoken about before, so this thing has got all different aspects to it of the yield farming, the staking, the different aspects of it. How does this work in terms of keeping a record of everything? So you've obviously got your Matic and your MetaMask. It swaps for Dino, goes into all these different the pools, the etc. etc. How does that work in terms of tracking it? Can it get messy, or how do you kind of?
Yeah, it does get messy, and it's best to try and I appreciate we're on a live stream and I'm kind of sharing my wallet on here very well. So it does get messy, because there are lots of transactions that are obviously going on that it doesn't always follow and whatnot. And so in here, for example, there's no Dino in here because I don't have any Dino in my wallet because I put it in a pool. So that part of it is a bit fiddly. You've got to make sure you keep a track of what's gone into the pool. So if you're using software, you need to kind of add in a dummy wallet, if you like, and transfer those tokens over to your kind of fake farming wallet, or whatever you want to call it. So it is a bit messy, but it's like any DeFi stuff, and we got to have, you can't have everything. You want decentralization. You can't have a perfectly working system that gives you everything you ever wanted. So it's that swings and roundabouts that you get decent returns. It is decentralized. It's everything you want, but it doesn't it doesn't necessarily track everything properly. So yeah, it's just a case of making sure you know what you've moved, when you've moved it, and obviously there's transactions. So you could, if I can't remember when I did it, but you would be able to see in here. These are all the fees, obviously, but you'd be able to see in here when I put the funds into the pool, and you'd be able to find the transaction hashes. But I just think keep a track of everything yourself, either a spreadsheet or some tracking software, and that's the best way to keep your eye on it, I would say.
Yeah, is that dinosaur noises coming from the website?
That would be amazing, but no, it's not. It's just somebody outside chucking bottles in the bin.
All right. I thought I could hear like a velociraptor or something like in the background.
I mean, that would have been amazing, but no. They also
maybe you should contact them and say that'd be the the icing on the cake for the website.
Yeah, they've got a few other things I think would be more important first, but they've also got a raffle which I've not got into yet. But if you want a bit of fun, that's a way to earn some more tokens as well. So I think for me, so a couple of points here. So I like it. I think it's cool. It's something nice and simple and cheap for someone like me that's not really done much DeFi before, but wants to understand it, to really get in, not take a huge risk in monetary terms, and give it a go, play about with it, and all that sort of stuff. In terms of implications, so when you're putting the money into a farm, you are effectively providing liquidity and you are earning a reward. So the reward I'm earning here, so let's call it 1.8 USD, is a taxable income in the UK on income tax. So that will be taxed at your marginal tax rate. So that's important to know, that this reward I'm receiving here is taxable. But then also, as you know, I've held on to my Dinos. Thankfully, well, not thankfully, but the price is dramatically lower than any of the tokens that I've earned. It's not, I don't think I've earned anything lower than where it is now. But if there was a gain on that token, I would also get taxed on the gain of that token. So let's just say these here, let's just say that's all I earn. I'd pay income tax, let's just call it $2 for ease of conversation. I'd pay income tax on $2. If this then became worth double the price, so now this is worth $4, I'd pay capital gains tax on the $2 increase in that token value, because I'm earning it in that token. So that's the simple way to look at it. It's pretty much exactly the same on this pool. The only difference being, yes, I'm earning income. I'm paying income tax on the earnings, but in theory, because UST is a US dollar backed stable coin, in theory there won't be any capital gains because it won't go up in value. So that's the only difference here. I'm still paying income tax, but there's probably not going to be much capital gains tax because it's a stable coin. So that is kind of, the tax side of it isn't actually as difficult as it might seem. Again, same with the tar pit. Again, locked in there, and we're earning rewards, and the rewards are going to be taxable at the point of receipt, and then any capital gains on any sale. You do have to remember that if you were to farm a token, so when I said at the start I was farming in this pool and I was earning the Dino, and then I was swapping the Dino to USDC in order to then provide liquidity into this pool. Obviously, those swaps were sales of that Dino, if that makes sense. So I paid income tax on earning it, and then when I swapped it, if there was a change in price, positive, then I would have, or negative, you're going to create a taxable event at that swap point as well. So just bear that in mind as well, that you might say, oh, I don't sell the Dino because I just keep it in the pool and blah, blah, blah. Actually swapping it into the USDC is selling it, if you like, or is a taxable disposal. So just bear that in mind as well when you're compounding it back in to some of the pools.
No problems. So, thank you very much for going through that. I'm sure some people haven't been. I wasn't aware of Dinoswap, so it's good to see another platform that is available in the DeFi space.
Yeah, it's quite cool. It's kind of risk free. Not risk free. That's not right. I shouldn't say that. It's quite low risk given the gas fee, and you could do it with 500 quid just to try it out. Do you know what I mean?
Just play around.
Yeah.
So yeah, cheers for joining me. If anyone wants to sign up for my DeFi course, it launches on Monday. Sign up in the link below and the description. There's a bonus content on there that we've just recorded, talking about making sure you record all your transactions. Joe just goes through how to do that in an easy, simple way. Cheers for watching. If you like the video, please like it, subscribe, and we will see you very soon.